I'd like to call the Northumberland County Planning Commission for February 19th, 2026 to order. Stewart, you have a roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Chris Crawley. James Michelle. Is he online? Is Michelle online? Well, he said he was going to call in.
I'll text him, see if
Patrick O'Brien.
Here.
John Cost.
Present.
Vivian Diggs.
Here.
Garfield Parker.
Here.
Alan Garland.
Here.
Roger McKinley.
Here.
Charles Williams.
Here.
Ms. Wilkins Corey told me she would not be able to make the meeting tonight. We do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. We would stand for an invocation and pledge allegiance to the flag. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for allowing us one more opportunity to serve our community. Pray now that we will be, everything that we do will be, above all, legal, but decent and in order. We pray that you will be with us and guide us in a new direction. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. At the call for the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we add the discussion about the animal shelter. We have animal shelter folks here, yes, to the agenda. Second.
All right. We can do that. Approval for the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approval of minutes from our last meeting.
Move adoption, move approval, excuse me. Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any commissioners with comments? No. I see you all survived the ice and snow, except for those that are absent. I hope they survived. No commissioners. How about staff? Stewart?
Just that we scheduled the first capital improvement plan subcommittee meeting on March 2nd. So the subcommittee will be meeting there, and hopefully you can be able to make that. What
Is it 11 a.m.?
What was the time, John?
I don't remember what time it said.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think it's morning.
11 a.m.?
Yeah, Heidi had an issue with it, so.
Drew was setting it up, so I do not know, but I will be in touch with you on Monday,
Okay.
and we'll clarify that
Excellent.
and make sure everything.
And then the plan is to have the departments in that same week, so we get it all done in a week.
Okay. Wishful thinking, huh? Okay. All right. Okay.
Mr. Michelle is online, but it said his mic is not working, so we probably need to approve his presence.
Well, if he can't participate through there with his mic, then
He might figure it out shortly.
If you all would like to vote to allow Mr. Michelle to participate in the meeting by the remote participation policy, that is certainly you can do that if you'd like.
So moved.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Do any of the citizens, and I'm certainly happy that you're here tonight, do you have any comments that do not relate to what we're going to talk about tonight? Anything? Vicious dogs? Roadblocks? Anything? Okay. All right. Thank you. Stewart?
Yes, sir. The first public hearing tonight is, let's get it, where is, that's not it.
First one.
Yeah, you're right. A request by Anthony Mangano, owner for a conditional use permit to construct a 190-foot communications tower on property zone B1 Business General. The property is shown in tax map parcel 8B, double circle 1, lot 116, and is located on Movie Hall Lane. And I'll go get the sign-up sheet and see who would like to speak.
Did everyone who wants to speak on that topic sign up? Okay.
All right, thank you. Open the hearing now. Okay. We're now going to open up the hearing. Mr. Magano here. Okay, all right. You want to hear from him first?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
We're here on behalf of the applicant. It might make sense for us to go before Mr. McGann.
All right, that's fine, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Planning Commission and staff. For the record, my name is Lisa Murphy. I'm counsel to the applicants Vertical Bridge and Verizon Wireless. And I have with me tonight Hui De Silva, who is also here to answer any technical questions that you might have that I'm not able to answer. As was mentioned, Vertical Bridge and Verizon Wireless are seeking a conditional use permit for the purpose of constructing and operating a 195-foot monopole wireless telecommunications tower with a 4-foot lightning rod together with related antennas and equipment. The site itself is a 10,000 square foot leased portion of Mr. Mangano's property, which is a 4.35 acre parcel that's zoned B1. Business General District, and it's where he's operating the Rapatomic Millwork Company currently off of Movie Hall Road. The proposed telecommunications tower is critical to Verizon Wireless's goal of providing state-of-the-art voice and data services in Northumberland County, including wireless internet near the intersection of Richmond Road and Hampton Hall Road, and really in downtown Callao and to the businesses and the citizens in the area. In the late 90s and early 2000s, consumers used wireless phones mainly on the interstate or on the highway. It was a nice to have, not a have to have. It was something, you know, if you were a realtor, you had a cell phone. If you traveled for business or for work, you had a cell phone. In December of 2016, or actually December of 2007, just 16% of folks were wireless only at home. By December of 2024, which is the last data that we have, it was just under 79% of adults and just under 87% of children lived in homes that only had a wireless phone. So you don't have a landline phone anymore. If you do, it's for your home security system, and even those are going away as everybody gets the Ring cameras. So today we have a situation where 80% of 911 calls are made from wireless phones, and that network capacity that was originally built out is now far outstripped by the ever-growing demands of a population of people who have at least one cell phone. Some of us have multiple wireless devices all going at the same time. In addition, today's smartphones aren't just the old-fashioned phones, but you can surf the internet, have an appointment with your doctor, you can order items that are on sale, you can watch videos of your children and grandchildren, all these things that we never would have imagined that you could do with just the device in your hand. So as the number of users and uses has increased, again, you've got this additional need and demand for additional antenna sites. And that's really what we're talking about, is an antenna site. In addition, they need to be closer and closer to the homes and the residents and the businesses that they're serving. As indicated on the aerial network map that was included as Exhibit B with the application package, the proposed tower is depicted with a red pen, and it's the antennas on that tower are labeled Callao proposed site. Those are going to connect with those yellow pins that you see there. So to the northwest, there's a antenna site labeled Acorn 291CL. That's approximately 4.63 miles away. A tower labeled Lotsburg 248CL. There you see just to the west, that's only 1.75 miles away. If you go to the southeast, you've got the Dottle Road Tower, and that's just over 5.3 miles away. to the southeast, and then to the southwest, west, you've got Gibeon facility labeled Gibeon 270CL, and that's approximately 397 miles away. So if you look in that 5-mile radius, which is the red circle,
And then 3.97,
I'm sorry, what did I say?
397.
Yeah, you're on the other side of the state at that point. Yes, 3.97 miles away. So that red circle is a 5-mile radius of the proposed site, and as you can see, Verizon Wireless is already operating on the yellow pins that are within that. So there aren't any other towers or tall structures in the area that they're not already utilizing. So one of the things that they, when they determine that they have a need for an antenna site, obviously they're going to look for a structure that's already there first. It's faster, it's cheaper, doesn't involve me, or it involves HUI, but it doesn't involve a public hearing process. So it's a much quicker process. Where they can't find a structure, then they look for a property that fits within the requirements of your zoning ordinance. But in addition, because they're regulated by the federal government as well, they have to be concerned with wetlands, endangered species, architectural, archaeological features, all these things that you wouldn't necessarily have to be concerned with if you weren't trying to cite a location for a facility that's got state, federal, and local regulations all sort of layered on top of it. This, as I mentioned, this subject parcel is 4.35 acres. It's zoned B1, and it's improved with commercial industrial buildings. And as I mentioned, it's the Rapatomic millwork facility. The building, your use table, section 148, attachment 1 of your zoning ordinance, allows wireless telecommunications towers in the B1 district and in all districts only up to 100 feet. So in order to go above 100 feet, you require a conditional use permit, which is why we're here. The building height restrictions don't apply to towers. They're specifically carved out of that. Again, you have to go through this conditional use permit process. The tower will be located approximately 65 feet from Movie Hall Lane, which is a 30-foot right-of-way, 175 feet from the property to the east. And this is shown on your Exhibit C, which is the zoning drawings. It gives you the various distances. 120 feet from the property line to the southeast, 290 feet from the property line to the west, and 115 feet to the closest off-site residential structure, which is across Movie Hall Lane. The proposed communication tower will be located within a 50-foot by 50-foot fence compound within a 10,000 square foot lease area, as I mentioned. It'll be accessed through Movie Hall Lane from that existing gravel entrance and driveway, so they won't have to install a separate driveway. Fiber and utilities will be provided within a 30-foot wide, non-exclusive access fiber and utilities easement. The facility compound itself will be surrounded by a chain link fence topped with 1 foot of barbed wire. The tower will be designed so that in the event of a structural failure, it would actually bend over on itself in that 50 by 50 compound. So it'll all be within that compound. The tower is a galvanized steel self-support monopole, will be screened from view from Movie Hall Lane and the surrounding properties by an existing buffer of mature trees and vegetation. So as you look at that, I don't know if it shows it on this one, but the next one, you'll see that there are trees along Movie Hall Lane, and then around the site itself, those trees will remain in place. Part of the application was Exhibit D, and those are the, we call them photo sims. It's the pictorial representations of before and after views of a red balloon that we floated in the air. So you've got a red balloon that's about 3 feet in diameter. You float it at 199 feet in the location where the tower would go, and this gives the engineers the ability to take photos, and then they simulate what that galvanized steel monopole with the antennas would look like in that particular location. So this is the cover sheet. If you go to the next slide, it's actually shows the various vantage points. There you go, where the photos were taken. So photo 1 is more or less in front of the entrance to the Rapatomic millwork location, and then you've got a variety of photos from downtown and various areas around the site. As you can see from the photographs and the photographic simulations, because it's the galvanized steel pole, this shows the entrance. If you look through the trees, there's the red balloon. And of course, these were taken in the wintertime, so you can see it. The next view is going to show you what it would look like simulated. So it's just a galvanized steel, single pole, about 3 feet in diameter at the base. It tapers at the top. So no guide wires. It's not a big lattice structure. It will not be marked or lit. So in the evening, you won't know it's there. The applicants, of course, will comply with all standards and regulations of the Federal Aviation Administration, Federal Communications Commission, as well as other federal and state agencies. The facility will operate continuously, 24 hours a day. These are some more of the photos. 7 days a week, but it will be unmanned. So once it's constructed, it's a very passive use. It doesn't require water or sewer, really just electricity and fiber to make the antennas run and the equipment. It may be visited infrequently by a technician, maybe once a month, maybe once a quarter, and only if there's an issue that they have to address with the antenna. So once it's built, it's a very passive use. The facility will not generate any noise, vibrations, dust, or fumes. It won't create traffic. It won't really have an impact, as I mentioned, on water or sewer or solid waste disposal, but it will be a benefit to the community and to the citizens. It will not just be for Verizon Wireless. The tower will actually be built for Verizon and 2 additional carriers. And as I mentioned a little bit later on, there will also be space for the county's communications equipment as well. Vertical Bridge has agreed, and this is a little bit tricky. So the state code that was enacted in 2018 basically says that localities can't require space on a tower free of charge as a condition of approving a wireless facility. However, Mr. De Silva has been in contact with Mr. McKenzie, and we've come up with some language that would indicate that we would proffer that says that the tower space below the 150-foot level on the tower, together with a 10 by 10 space on the ground within the compound, would be available for the county equipment at no charge. The county would be required to sign a lease and do their own installation and work on the tower, but there would not be rent associated with that. And I understand that's something that's been proffered by prior applicants. The comprehensive plan, just to give an overview of that, because we spent a lot of time talking about the zoning ordinance. Chapter 2, Section 3 of the county's comprehensive plan, entitled Public Facilities, lists the following goals: assure the present level and quality of services is maintained as the county grows and demographics change, provide 100% coverage of the county area for reliable cell phone service, make high-speed broadband internet service available to all residents of the county. Moreover, the comprehensive plan identifies Callao as a village which serves as one of the primary commercial hubs in the county, playing a dominant role as a business and institutional service provider. In addition, the village is identified as a focal point where commercial and public services should be grouped. The subject property is located within an area labeled support area on the county's future land use plan, and this would certainly be the type of facility that would support commercial businesses and commercial endeavor. The tower will further the county's public facilities goals, providing 100% coverage of the county for reliable cell phone service, will make high-speed internet available to residents, and the proposed wireless internet and enhanced data services that will be provided by Verizon and other carriers will prove to be an attractive asset to businesses and residents in this important commercial hub. In conclusion, the proposed telecommunications tower meets the requirements of the county zoning ordinance and is consistent with the goals and objectives of the county's comprehensive plan. The tower itself is necessary to support the public's increased use of wireless devices for personal, business, educational communications, as well as emergency communications. The proposed tower will benefit the general welfare of the citizens of the county by improving wireless services in compliance with good zoning practices and in a manner that has limited visual impact on surrounding properties. We respectfully request that you recommend approval of this conditional use permit application to the Board of Supervisors. I'm happy to stand by to answer any questions that you have.
Just a couple of easy ones. Do you know how deep the foundation is for this tower? How much excavation is going to be required?
So we can have who we address it a little bit further. There'll be a site plan submitted after this process, and as part of that, they'll have to do a geotech. Okay. They'll have to do soil borings to figure out how deep the foundation will have to go. But if you know the property, it does sort of go down into a ravine, but they will have to do all of that, submit the site plan, go through the building permit process.
The water table might become an issue, but we'll figure that out as we go. You mentioned fiber, underground fiber there. Is there fiber already there, or where would it be coming from to get there?
Who would you know where the fiber is coming from? Is it in the road?
Yeah, good evening. The fiber is up Movie Hall Lane, and I don't know if they'll piggyback right there or if they have to go up to 360, but it's on the strip right there. So they'll bring it there. Most likely they'll bring it down the existing poles overhead as far as they can go, and then they'll bury into the site.
And where would it be coming from to get there? I mean,
Is it in the road now?
You see, as you go up 360 and you get to the intersection where 360 goes up, if you go past a little bit, I think that's 42, something like that.
Sure.
On the right-hand side, there's actually a landline switch right there on the corner.
Oh, okay.
It could be that they have to piggyback from there, but it's already going down 360, so we hope they have enough to just go 360 down the pole, Movie Hall Lane, bury into the site.
Okay, I was just wondering how much road excavation and disruption there may be from a construction.
Hopefully none
It
on the
sounds
right of way. Hopefully none. And if they can go overhead, they'll go as far as they can go.
Okay, and then finally, on the tower itself, or the monopole, you talked about the proper to the county in terms of a certain amount of gap. Does that lease encompass the entire circumference of the tower? We could put something on any side?
Yeah, it would just be below that 150-foot level. I don't know if you can go back to the zoning drawings, it shows an elevation of the tower.
Yeah, normally when you take a space on the tower, you take 360.
All the way
So
around.
nobody can really attach around it because like you can see all the
It's a little bit hard to see, yeah. So the top three sets of antennas would be the carriers, various wireless carriers, and then below that, the county could install.
Charles here is a restaurateur. He'd like to put a revolving restaurant up here. Is that possible?
You know what, the osprey loved them, so they will make nests in the top, and, yeah. They'll have a great view from up there.
Thank you.
What do you do about the ospreys?
Well, so they can only do work on the tower during the period when the osprey are not nesting. They would have to wait, and then if they have to do any work, once the antennas are there, they have to wait until the osprey's gone. So I think it's September to April-ish. I had a site down in Virginia Beach where literally they had to rebuild it, and they brought out equipment that vibrated the tower so the osprey couldn't establish their nest. Once they get there, hands off, they can't touch them.
Could they put a quarter in to make it vibrate?
sometimes they put like fake owls and stuff just to try.
Yeah.
On the antenna, what is the strength or the signal reception? Are they different towers that have different levels of strength, and how does this compare with the rest of the antennas?
So the power is set by the FCC, so you can't increase the power to make the antennas go further. You've got the PCS frequencies, you've got the lower, so PCS is 1850 to 1900, you've got the lower frequencies, and then the millimeter wave, which is the 5G frequency, is a much higher frequency. It's all in those same antennas. And And what's going to affect how far the signal is going to go is a whole variety of factors. If you had a site in the middle of the desert with no people, that signal on a 200-foot tower is going to go pretty far. But, it might even go 4 or 5 miles. If you've got a hilly terrain and you've got a lot of vegetation and then people, that's going to shrink that signal. And you'll find a lot of times that the signal your coverage is a little bit worse in the summertime because all the trees have leaves on them. In the wintertime, it gets a little bit better. But so the amount of use on that particular site is going to shrink the capacity, and then you've got the topographical features. It's more or less line of sight, but there's a lot that can be in between that has an effect, and because of the slightly hilliness and then the vegetation, and because this is a commercial hub, there's a lot of use.
So you think it's going to be less than 4 or 5 miles?
Well, it's only 1.75 miles from the tower to the east, that Lotsburg. So, yeah.
It doesn't sound like much to somebody that doesn't know much about it, but it...
No, this will help, and the location or the siting of where you're putting antennas is dictated by the engineers. Engineers look at the map, they look at their complaints, they look at how their network is working and functioning, and they decide, and then they prioritize. So you could have a site it doesn't have any coverage and it may not be a priority. So they've prioritized the sites, and this is one that they feel like would help the citizens really and help coverage. Once the tower gets built, I'm sure it's the case that it's not just Verizon that has issues. It's probably AT&T and T-Mobile as well. Once there's a structure that's up, it'll be easier for them to also provide service.
Are they the two other providers you were referring to?
It's open for 2 more, but likely it would be an AT&T, possibly a T-Mobile.
Yeah.
I mean, the number of providers is really strong, but those are really in our markets. It's AT&T and Verizon mostly competing, I would think.
So you can put more providers on that same antenna?
Different heights, so they each get a center line. So the top center line is going to be Verizon. Then you can have somebody 10 feet down. They can have their antennas, and another 10 feet below that, and then on down.
Do you know if there are any other sites in the county that are on the priority list?
That would be a Hui question. Hui is the gentleman that gets the
That's for right now.
information and looks for sites, yeah.
As for right now, we have this one, and I know this one was important just because of the volume right there, down Callio. There's the other one, we were here maybe 2 years ago with Presley Creek, which is down closer to the water.
Newman's.
That one, the tower just went up, or is about to go up in the air. So we put antennas on that pretty soon. I know there's other areas of needs, and I worked actually down that strip all the way to Ophelia, and those sites kind of got put on hold. Hopefully they'll come back. I know there's a need there, but as for right now, that's the two we're working here.
Okay.
Questions? Any other questions? Need to ask?
Mr. Marsden, is there anything we should have asked that we don't know enough to do?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Have you reviewed the special conditions that were written for the conditional use? Or the special, whatever they're called?
Suggestion.
Suggested,
Yeah, we went over it with Mr. Marshall. We tweaked a couple of things, but yeah, we're okay if we continue with those. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If there are no more questions, thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Now open up for public comments. And first on my list is Mr. Mangano. Do you have?
Actually, they covered everything that I was going to cover.
Okay.
And the only thing I was going to add, but only had 2 things if I may. One would be up in Cali.
If you come on up and give your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Tony Mangano. I'm from Callio, Virginia. The 2 things I would add would be I've been in Callio all of my life. I know several people here. And ever since cell phones were invented, we've had problems with service in Callio. And I've heard nothing but complaints from my friends And so I thought this, when Mr. Silver approached me, I thought this was a great idea. The income is not very much, but the thing that will be given to the community is worth a lot more to me. And I would love to use it too. And I know, Chris, you're still using Atlantic Broadband, whatever you were using before. I know he would like to make a change, I'm sure. But so we could really use that. The other question, or the other thing I would like to add is that on the distance is short, but the signal is a lot stronger. And that's how that works. See, so yes, it's only going 1.5 to 5 miles, but the signal is 3 times stronger than what it would be if without the tower. So, and that makes a difference, especially in an emergency situation. Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Questions for Ms. Magano? Next, I have Mr. Campbell, 106 Movie Hall Lane. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. For the record, I'm Jamaica Campbell.
Okay.
I represent the residents of Movie Hall Lane. I was actually born on Movie Hall Lane, 106 to be specific. While looking at this, I'd like to ask, when were these photos taken? What year?
Just last fall.
Last fall?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Since last fall, there have been some changes on that road where there are new structures that are also being built. I do see, if you go back to the pictures, the one specifically that's the entrance of Rappahannock. Next one. Where it depicts the illustration of the tower.
There you go.
The proposed view. Thank you. Okay. So I understand that you guys said that it will fall on a 90-degree angle if anything were to happen to it. Is that correct?
No, it falls at a weak point on itself within the compound,
Within the compound. Okay.
within that 50-foot compound.
Okay. So if it,
Engineered for us on itself, so it'll fall within that lease area.
we all know that Mother Nature has decided to do something different with winter this year. So if Mother Nature decides to do something different in the tornado season or in the hurricane season, that tower will essentially blow across our compound life. We live on a compound. Although they own that 4.3 acres, we have a compound life. There are houses that are down the street, 2 to be specific, 1 newly that will be built. There is also one that is directly across the street from it, if it was to be built. And if it did not fall and collapse on itself, it would essentially collapse on one of the properties of the residents that is here tonight. If the wind were to blow in the opposite direction, to the right of that, there are also 2 additional houses, and then there is one directly across the street from it. So it does propose a risk at having it at 195 feet versus the 100 feet that should be limited. If you do allow them to do it, I would say only allow them to do it at 100 feet. 100 feet would still allow you to have that 3 times the maximum signal that you're looking for. But even if you do not allow them to have that there, that signal structure is still there. No one is in danger of 911 calls. We can attest that within minutes, just recently, a 911 call was placed, and within less than 10 minutes, 911 was there, correct? Correct. Correct. Okay. The rescue squad building and the fire department are also within, what's the distance? Less than a mile. Less than a mile. Everyone who operates underneath that volunteer spectrum also lives within the county. So we are asking you to not do this and let them build that tower. But if you do, only allow them to build it at 100 feet, because if you build it at 100 feet, then it proposes less risk, but still gives them the output signal that they're reaching to have in a Dollar General spectrum. Because if you look at it, they have, in that 5 mile radius, they already have 4 other towers that are properly working, that don't need any additional service to them. Because as they said, they build them and they let them go. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions that you want to ask? Mr. Silva, do you have a response to that? You're the technical guy.
Just wanted to say, as part of the building permit process, the applicant will be required to submit designed plans for the design of that tower. So it's the foundation drawings, the tower drawings, and the tower will be designed to have a weak spot so that it will collapse on itself within that 50-foot by 50-foot. It's not like a tree where it goes over on its side. It's not like a lot of other structures that aren't engineered. It's engineered for specific ice load, wind load, weight load for this geographic area. So it would take into account hurricane, ice storm, tornado, what have you.
At the beginning of your testimony, you gave distances from the tower to the residences around there. I didn't get them all written down, so can you just go over those one more time?
Yeah, so the closest residence is directly across Movie Hall Lane, and that one is, let's see, 30-foot right away, 115 feet from the closest off-site residential structure. So the others, and that would be across the street, at the end of the street there.
In your experience, have you ever seen one collapse outside of the enclosed area?
No, in fact, I wish I brought it. I just saw a picture on LinkedIn recently where it did exactly what it was supposed to do, and it flopped over like that.
What would reducing, and this may be a question for Mr. De Silva, what would reducing the height to 100 affect?
It's not, I mean, if we could live with 100 feet, we wouldn't need a use permit, because as I mentioned, the 100 foot is by right. So because of the topography and the trees and the way the property actually starts to slope down, they really need the 200 feet to get up above the trees and to get the coverage objective that they want to get.
Okay.
Question?
And if I may, just to add to what Lisa was saying, if you look at the pictures.
Can you speak into the mic?
Yeah, sorry. If you look at the pictures, and that's 100 feet, 195, top of the steel, some areas right there, you barely see the top of the tower. If you reduce it to 100 feet, you're not going to even clear the trees. You're not going to get anything from it whatsoever.
Okay.
It'll cover right there around the building. It's not going to go into town where it needs to go or further down the road. And actually, when we took these pictures, I remember it was the cold days. I was thinking it's the fall, but I think it was already pretty into the winter. One of the things I wanted to check, we went down there, so you go past, there's the volunteer fire department, you go down where it clears, where they're going to put the new fire department, and to the right there's a rescue squad, right? And we took a picture, I think we had one from there, and I wanted really to see from there if we could see it. We could just barely see the top of that tower, and I was afraid we were not going to see it because then we would not get any service down there. But we see just the top of the tower. Of course, this is right here in town. And I think that might be the picture. And it's just enough to get some service to clear those trees and get down there. If you reduce the height of the tower, it's really going to block it. You're not going to get much from it.
And then remember, you've got 10 feet of separation between Verizon and AT&T.
Yeah, and the other carrier's really not
So
going to
it
get anything.
wouldn't be useful for anybody else, really.
Plus the part that the county would use would be above 100 as well.
Right, it would be, right, exactly. You wouldn't want to go below 100 feet if that was the case, yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right. Any more questions? All right, we have
I've got one, Mr. Parker, if you don't mind. I know you've studied this extensively. Were there any other areas in that vicinity that would meet your requirements?
So yes, I spoke with a lot of people. And
Right.
of course, when we first started working there and we spoke, and I remember stopping in the hardware store and I spoke with a gentleman from the fire department. We're actually considering down the road, which we're getting closer to our Slotsburg side, which is not going to be as ideal. We really want to cover the middle of town and further to the west, northwest. So I looked at all kinds of areas. I thought this one would be a good spot. It's not super visible. A lot of people don't want to see it, but it is covered by all the vegetation. kind of a more commercial area, so it seemed to be a good spot. We looked at different areas. It's not necessarily that this would be the only area would work, but it seemed to be, it makes sense to where it was going to be, and it would work for what we needed to do. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Just add one other thing that, so the wireless carriers don't have powers of eminent domain, so you have to find a willing landlord. You can't just go like Dominion Energy and say, we got to be there, that's where we're going to put it, and let the landowner deal with it. So you do have to find somebody who's willing to enter into a long-term lease.
With proper zoning as well.
Exactly.
All right. Anybody else would like to speak to the issue? Anybody else to speak to the issue? Is there anybody online that would like to speak to the issue? Okay. Is there anybody else online that would like to speak to the issue? All right, thank you. We're going to close the discussion now and turn it over to the commission. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, questions, comments?
I have a question. If the tower were to collapse, not as designed, and it damaged somebody's property, who is responsible for that then?
You have to be the owner, the landowner. Am I correct, Stuart?
I have no idea.
We have a lawyer on
They'd have a
that.
liability policy. Part of your fault.
They would have a commercial general liability.
Builder
Who has that policy?
If they were negligent. Yeah, I would think the cell tower owner.
The cell tower owner would be responsible. Do you all agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they carry a lot of insurance.
You carry insurance.
Fortunately, Verizon has lawyers and insurance.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from commission? Questions? Comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to pass this matter up to the Board of Supervisors with the recommendation that they approve.
You gotta do your thing.
Pardon me?
You gotta do your thing.
You got it.
Here we go. This motion is made in due consideration of the administrative record before the body, including the Planning Commission's deliberations and recommendation, the information received via the public hearing, including statements offered by staff, the applicant, and members of the public health and safety, the general welfare of the community, public necessity, convenience in the exercise of good zoning practices, and the body's legislative prerogative, and pursuant to the body's statutory authority.
I'll second it.
All right. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay, thank you. All right, that ends our public hearing items. And now we're going to go to work session items. And the first one on our work session item is the 2025 end of the year report.
Yes, Chairman, I sent this out to the Planning Commission by email. Hopefully you all had a chance to look at it. We've got other business to discuss, comprehensive plan and animal shelter. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. If anybody has any questions, feel free to interrupt. Basically, the end of the year report summarizes what the Planning Commission does, the amendments considered, rezonings, other public hearings, and then other considerations such as the comp plan and Hampton Hall Landing, the water access point that we're working on. It also summarizes the number of requests that came to the Board of Supervisors, Board of Zoning Appeals, and Wetlands Board. And you can see the trends for the last 5 years, and it looks pretty similar from the last years. The meat of the report is a total construction cost and This year, it was $64,667,125.02 compared to $65,691,585.24 for 2024. So it was actually a small decrease of approximately 1.6% from 24 to 25. So pretty much even with last year. There's a table with a comparison of structures. The categories of structure are single-family dwelling, modular homes, double-wide mobile homes, and commercial. There was a 5.5 decrease in single-family dwellings, a 13.3 decrease in modular, 71.4% increase in double-wide, and a 44.4 decrease in mobile homes. One of the bright spots was commercial. There were 8 structures this year that were commercial. Average square foot was 3,770 feet, and the average cost this year was $297,042. This line on the bottom with the commercial is actual new construction, additions, sheds, outbuildings, things of that nature. But there's also, when you try to capture what the commercial investment is in the county, there's a lot of remodel repair where they take an existing building and then refurbish the inside and make it suitable for their business. And that was $701,400 in 2025. And it was higher than last year. It was $565,500 in 2024, which is an increase of 24%. And the total commercial investment, that takes the new buildings and the remodel repair, was $3,077,737 compared to 2024 investment of $573,000, which is an increase of 43%. The majority of that I attribute to the Indian Creek Yacht Club. They rebuilt the pool and the pool house for a substantial amount of money. So that was, and Omega also did some work as well. So that's the commercial. I know the commission is definitely interested in that, so I wanted to highlight that. The number of dwellings is slightly down from last year. Again, similar to the total construction cost. We had a total commercial and dwellings of 103, and I have a chart here that breaks down the magisterial districts, if anyone's interested in that. Then we also break down the new structures by type of structure and zoning district, and you'll see in that where they're mostly located. As usual, R2 leads the pack, and agriculture is a little bit behind that. There's also a chart that details the inspections that the Building and Zoning Office did, plumbing, mechanical, electrical, zoning, all different types of permits. And then a breakdown of piers, where boat houses are put in the county, piers, private piers, which watershed, whether it's Potomac or Chesapeake Bay, and then other wetland applications, which could be riprap, could be living shorelines, could be an osprey hole, or oyster cages. But just basically broken down by whatever creek that the applicant put on there. So that's the annual report in a nutshell. If anybody has any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Okay. Any questions to Stuart?
I didn't see anywhere, and probably historically you wouldn't do this. Are there things where you track the recommendations from the Planning Commission that were approved and or disapproved by the Board of Supervisors?
In this report, it is the Building and Zoning Office and Planning Commission, so I don't report on what results the board.
So none of the qualitative stuff.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, so if you're asking how many we approved and the board didn't approve or something like that, no, sir, I did not do
Okay,
that.
no problem.
Okay.
We'll check the minutes.
It's just basically to highlight what we've done
Got it.
in the year.
Okay. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Good, okay. Let's move down to the comprehensive plan revision, final review. You all got it in your email from Stuart, and the revisions that were made. Do you have a comment, Stuart?
No, I was just going to say, if we want to move the animal shelter up, so they wouldn't have to.
Oh, okay, all right.
That would be your prerogative.
Okay, if that's all right with you guys, okay, and ladies. We'll now go talk about the animal shelter, the palace that will be built. Okay, so do you have any comments?
Mr. Williams? By the way, I only received your email late in the afternoon.
I know,
so
I
it's not
didn't
been
get it out soon
distributed.
enough.
Okay.
We realized we needed something else when we met today. I don't know how much you know about what's going on. My name's Peter Williams, live on Mill Creek Lane, and it's listed as Kilmarnock, but it's actually Recomico Church.
All right.
Okay. And I represent Friends of the Northumberland County Animal Shelter as the guy that's trying to get a shelter built to replace the current shelter.
All right.
We made a presentation to the Board of Supervisors a couple of weeks ago during their meeting. And they passed it on to you guys to...
It was in the fall, actually. It's been
Oh, was it
several
that
months,
fall?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. We've been having too much fun, obviously. To further flesh this out. And since then, I was able to get some facts and figures together to make this more of a picture for you people. I've got actually a paper copy if you guys want one of those. Of what I sent. I just have one.
Yeah, that's okay.
We'll distribute it the other way.
Okay. And so I ran a scenario through ChatGPT, of all things, after doing a lot of independent research on costs and who does what to whom and this kind of thing. My background is cybersecurity and the U.S. Navy. I have no idea what to do with a shelter, except I got sucked into it. Now that's okay. And so the piece of paper, the file I sent to you this afternoon goes through and it lists a rough total cost range for Heathville. Okay, specific to Heathville, I was able to get it down for building costs. And the chat or the AI went back through all sorts of things like the Humane Society and different organizations across the country that build these shelters and this kind of thing. And that's how I got square footage, approximate costs, things like that. Our board met this today and to discuss what I found, because to build a 10,000 square foot shelter, it's going to be between $3.5 and $4.2 million. Okay, two things come into play. Number one, can we raise that much? And number two, can the county support it once they get the building, once we donate the building to them? And so I went back through and I thought,
Just to clarify, that was just construction of the building. That has nothing to do
oh no,
with
that's
land
total
development.
cost.
Including land development?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's total cost. That's why I went to the ChatGPT, because it's the only way I could get this information. I had to run a number of scenarios. So after our meeting today, I went back and said, well, what would it cost to replace the current animal shelter, the way it is, the size? And that brought it down to about 2.1 to 2.8 million. The reason we did that is because the problem is the shelter itself, okay? We've got so many problems with the shelter. It's unsafe, it's unhealthy, lots of things, okay? But if we can build a shelter, that everybody can afford, we could build it so it could be expanded a couple years down the line to meet rising needs. But the biggest need right now is for a safe and healthy environment for the dogs and the cats and the people working there. Because every year, because we don't have sufficient space to separate the dogs that are sick and things like that, I think you guys have paid for a lot of cleanup from some of this diseases and viruses that the animals get. It's very costly cleanup process, for instance. And so the idea behind this shelter is that we are able to separate sick animals and keep everybody as safe as we can. But so the bottom line is we'd love to build a 10,000 square foot structure, but I don't know whether we can raise the money, and I think it would be really hard for the county to support that, just operating wise. So what we're coming up with is replace the current shelter. And we've looked at the land, the poorhouse tract down there, and there's got to be some place on that 140 acres that we could find that's suitable.
Oh, there's no power up there either.
Yeah, I know. And because I said to you one thing, it said we're going to need three-phase power for some of the equipment, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the power would have to be going down there.
There's a lot of other competing demands for that property
Yeah.
as well, historical and recreational as well. So we have talked as a group at our December meeting. We didn't have the data you've given us so far. The big challenge we have seen in our discussions is of the three parcels big enough in the county to do this. One is where you are now, two is the poorhouse, and number three is the
Lodgeburg.
yeah, the old school building, which has to be torn down eventually some way or another. Probably the most viable of the three is where you are now, but that would require doing some significant development in the back half of the property.
Correct.
Unless you could do a phased tear down of the existing property with modular buildups, just as you would plan to do anyway, within the existing near the existing footprint.
Okay.
I don't know what the best option is, and thank you for the work you've done so far. That's been great, but that development cost is not going to be cheap. There's a lot.
No, I know. There's a lot involved in it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we're doing is we're sort of relying on you to help guide us through this process, so it's best for the county and best for us, okay? Because we're just a bunch of volunteers like you guys are, and ma'am. So I guess the next step would be, do we survey the properties, or do we look at different pieces like the poorhouse property? It extends on both sides of Dotlet Road there, and one nice area is close to where there's a tower there, an antenna or dish or something like that right now. So it seems that we could find a spot that is not historically significant or pre-planned or something like that out of that 140 acres. That's a large plot.
What was the price again to rebuild something similar to the current structure?
Between 2.1 and 2.8.
All right.
And that's not skimping. That's
Right.
a good,
Nice new building.
Yeah, well, that, and also it meets all the Virginia requirements and certifications and things.
If you had to venture a guess on time frame to raise that money, what would you say?
Less than 2 years?
Okay.
Because once we decide, if we have the plot and we can get to an architect, we're not even there yet. I did as much in-depth planning as I could so we could possibly make the decisions or that kind of thing to get us to the point where, okay, we're ready to go, and then we'll get the architect, and that will refine a lot of the numbers and what we have to do. But we're not close to that right yet.
Yeah, I agree we're not. Peter, maybe I think, I'm just speaking off the top of my head here, maybe the thing to do next is to get a land surveyor to go look at the existing acres you're on.
Okay.
In terms of what the options are there. Because when you've already got sort of a road, there's power, road access is fine, it's land county already owns. And we can't do anything with it. The question is, can you do anything with it? We did look at the maps out there. Stuart has some terrific maps, and it's going to be challenging because your septic field is behind the cell tower.
Right, but the thing is we would not want to build where the current facility is now. It's hemmed in by the waste facility. The fire department's been out there. If we have a fire, they're going to have to just run through all the fences and everything. We can't even get a piece of large equipment back there. An ambulance maybe. Okay, I mean, it's a very, we're on about an acre. okay? But we're butted right against the waste facility.
Behind the cell tower, that space is all part of the same plot.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I mean, we wouldn't mess with the current field because it's given us problems every 6 months. We're having to have it, because it was built wrong or added to or whatever it was. So it would have to be behind the cell tower because there's about 60 acres altogether up there.
That's right.
And that isn't, we don't object to that either, but our idea is get it made, but we don't want it to be close to the waste facility for a whole variety of safety reasons, noise reasons, this kind of thing.
As much trouble as we're having finding a suitable location, the more I keep going back to that Lotsburg site. That building has to go anyway. It's got to go at some time, much like the old sheriff's office. It's just falling apart, and I mean, that's a perfect location. It's open, it's flat, there's power there.
Okay.
Well, it's a lot of acreage there too. You could easily move that.
How many acres do you need? I didn't see what you said.
I asked for about 15, and after I talked to an architect over in the western part of the state who does these things, and we're going to have to build 2 septic fields, one for human waste and one for animal waste. And he says, you're going to pretty much eat up that 15 acres just with septic fields and things like that.
But when you say acreage, it's grass and...
Oh, yeah.
So it's having a septic there is not detrimental to what you want to do with that acreage.
No, well, but I have to have the acreage to put the septic in.
Right. Yeah. But that's not going to stop you from using that outside area that is drain field.
Oh, no.
For exercise or whatever.
Don't drive your truck over it, but
right.
Fine, okay. One of the problems with the Lotsburg, it's at the very end of the county. Heathville's the center. We get all of our vet work done here. Most of our volunteers live from here, on either side of Heathville. And the public, this is more of a public area. I mean, a lot of counties come through here on major highways and things like that. And so
it's very central.
Yes, it's very central.
Those criteria disqualify the job at the road site, though, because it's way up the hill there, far from the center of the town. But anyway, back to Stuart.
But it's still the center of the county.
Yeah.
Quick question on the size of the lot that the school's on. How big is that property that we own?
For the Lotsburg, I believe it was 9 or 10, and probably an acre or 2 in woods.
Okay.
It drops off once it gets into the woods. I just wanted to mention that in talks with the county administration, they were worried about putting on a Lotsburg site because that could hem us in the future with regards to if we need to expand our solid waste facility. If we wanted to put a scale or tire recycling or something else, or needed more dumpsters, then that would hem us in addition to reducing their area. So I just want to throw that out there.
We don't have a lot of good options.
What we'll do is we'll investigate, get a surveyor out there and look at our piece of land that we're on right now, because that would be preferable to Lotsburg, quite
Chairman,
frankly.
would you like me to show the topography map for that site so they can see that?
What is the existing square foot of the building you have now?
It's about 7,500. My wife and I went through and did a laser measuring thing because nobody had any idea how big it was. So it's about 7,500, but
So going to 10,000 only gives you 2,500 more square feet.
But it's
Is
a lot.
that a big improvement or just a very minor improvement over the square footage you have now?
It would increase the number of animals and the flow and the storage, those kinds of things. And because we're full a lot of times. In other words, we can't accept another dog or a cat because we're no killing until we get them out. And this was give us the luxury of having a few more sites available and also cages available, and also the chance to have a building we could actually expand more cheaply than build an added building later on or something like that. Because we'll have to have this conversation about 5 years down the line as the county continues to grow. Because
So have you looked at steel structures or those types of?
yes, there's three things. One, the CMU, I think it's called, that's the mortar or that's the cinder block. And then there's the full metal, and then there's a hybrid, okay? The full metal ones have a lot going against them, including acoustic sound. They have a tendency to rust and rot out quickly. The best option is the CMU, the mortar, okay, because it withstands constant cleaning, constant chemicals, constant water, which is a daily thing. I mean, everything gets wet there. The hybrid is a steel outside building, but you used the blocks, like around the kennels and things like that. So it seems like if for longevity and for upkeep over like 20 years, the CMU would be better. I actually did some research on these two. I didn't even know what this stuff was yesterday. So if we looked at it, it would be hybrid is a little bit cheaper in the short term because it's easier to build and faster to build and initially, but over the long run, they're just about equal with the cinder block building being the one for longevity, for cleanliness, for hygiene, that kind of thing. So,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you for asking that. I didn't know whether I'd ever be able to use that information.
So you'll see on the screen a topographic map that shows the site, and where it's white is where it's cleared, and green, of course, is forest. So this is your building here, I believe, and we've got other maps we'll look at. The problem is there is a area about 9 acres here, but you need to cross this gully, which is about 40 feet deep, 20 feet down and 20 feet up. Each one of the contour lines is 10 feet. So I've got additional maps. That's the topographic map. The LiDAR map shows it a little better visually. And it's very evident where you can see the wood yard here. And then this is the gully that we'd have to breach to go over here. If we go, this second gully that's west of that is not as deep. It's only about 20 feet deep instead of 30 or 40 feet deep. There's about 15 acres up here. There's about 9 acres here before it gets too steep to drop off there. But the main problem is getting across this gully because there is no stream, and I've got the wetlands here. We can look at the wetlands as well. And I'll be glad to forward these if you would like to have those, so you can look at in depth at your own leisure. There is, the wetland stops before that, but as we all know, these drainage areas, if it rains enough, there's going to be water. So there's going to have to be a culvert, a tube, a bridge, something, I believe, across to be all-weather road to get to that other hummock. I also did a map on the septic and shrink swell. Green is good septic, and of course where it's flat is where it's good, because one of the limitations of septic is slope. So it looks like those two sites, if we can get to them, get a road to them, have good septic potential, and the shrink swells is pretty negligible. I think it's moderate, yeah, on those areas. So in discussing the site, basically the main problem is the gully after you go past the cell phone tower to get to the back part of the parcel. And of course the trees. You have to cut down the trees as well.
Stuart, I don't know if anybody's approached this or not, but there is another way to get back there, and if that adjacent landowner to the left would grant a right-of-way, you totally take out the gully.
Easement there already, in fact.
That would work. That would work.
Okay.
I think it would be cheaper for everybody too, because there's power there. Well, I'd probably have to have another well, but.
Yeah, it's definitely farmland, and which this thing would go away. There's a fence line, the red is a fence line, now whether that's still there or not, I don't know.
There is a fence through part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that would definitely solve that problem. If we could get an easement for a road that could access it from the neighboring property.
I believe
That
that
would-
property owner lives in Hampton. So,
Whoa.
What makes you, John, why did you say you think there's an easement?
Well, when I went out to walk it, there was a fence line right behind the building, and it looked like it was a drivable flat area there. I don't, maybe it's just not farmed properly or whatever, but it did not look like it was under farm when I walked back there.
that is a long property. A lot of times farmers will leave an access road, just not plan it. So, but it's not showing it. Usually on Onyx, it'll show easements, and it's not showing anything.
Okay, so maybe there isn't one there. If he doesn't farm it all the way to the lot line, then maybe there's something to be amenable to doing.
Right. Worth a shot, I'd say.
So that would skip the ravine altogether.
It would go right, real close
Across the head of it,
path
yeah.
on the one side. So Peter, as you get us, I think the next route is to get a surveyor out there.
Okay.
Take these maps and you get the idea of what the constraints are here.
Mm-hmm.
Ask about it, what an easement would look like there
Okay,
as well. And
all right.
I think that's got to be the next step, because I'm not.
Yeah, if you could send me those, that would be great. John's
sir.
got I appreciate that immensely.
And I also think maybe the
I'll send it on Monday.
Okay.
Friends of the Animal Shelter approaching that gentleman about the easement might be a little better.
Yeah.
than the
okay.
county.
Well, we'll walk this thing, we'll talk to the land guy, and then when we figure out what our story is, we'll discuss it with you before we do anything.
One way you could approach this
Okay?
would be to go to the owner of the adjacent farmland, ask for a license of so many years to use his access road, for which he would possibly get a charitable deduction. Pardon me?
Free
Get a
puppy.
free puppy or a cat. That's only if he qualifies.
But if it's
No,
donated
that's-
to the 501c3, that's a deduction.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good plan. Sounds good.
And how often would you be using the access road?
It's not like he still can't use it.
No, but how much traffic would it be? Would you get?
Well, you've got people coming there to work every day.
Every day.
Yeah. I mean, oh, yeah, that's a 7-day-a-week facility.
It may make it a tougher sell, but
I have one more question. Is there any use for the old building? If we get a new building,
I'm not.
just demolish it? Or?
It still has a lot of plumbing, leakage. I mean, it would take a lot to imagine it being something else. Yeah, it really is. They're doing a lot with not much there. Sir?
I have a question. Dogs and cats and other, I guess you've got there. What is the occupancy currently or in the last 10 years? Where have we gone? Are we going up or down or
I
sideways?
think it was last year we handled, what, 380?
Yeah.
Yeah, 380 animals.
Animals altogether.
Yeah, no, well, not at once.
What is your at-once capacity?
Yeah. At
Our
one time.
capacity is, right now, is 36 dogs and 14 cats. And if we get a farm animal or something, Gabby knows some of the local folks, and, that cow or that horse or that pig, will go to somebody locally, because we don't have a place to put them.
So we got roughly 36 dogs at a time.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Maximum, yes.
And maybe half that in cats or more than that in cats or?
Well, we only have very limited cat room. It was put together as a donation for the shelter. They put small cat rooms, so we usually have only about 8 condos. So I said, right now, we shouldn't have more than 8 to 10 cats. But during the kitten season, which is coming pretty soon, we have about 40, 50, 60 kittens there at the same time. So
And
it's just, and the dogs, when we have animal control go into seizure, for an example, it was 2023, I believe, we have about 27 dogs in the shelter at that time, and he seized 58 animals in one day. On top of 27, so in this kind of emergencies, we have nowhere to put them. And we have crates everywhere, and it's just very challenging. We only have part-time workers. They can only work so many hours. The volunteers are all aging. It's just the whole space is, everything is just falling apart.
Yeah. So,
But they still move a lot of animals, and the only, that's why we're still no-kill after 10 years, is they have, Gabby and the people from the Friends, they've got feelers all over the state where, the dogs can go, the cats can go. Richmond Humane just picked up a bunch of cats and dogs from us. They came to us. And one of the reasons is we actually pass, if the dog's sick or something, or it's under medication or needs, we will send the money with the dog. And so we create this goodwill so that when we're overflowing, we can move some of this. And, well, some things like 50 dogs at a time, we can't, Yeah, so, sir.
thank you.
Sounds like you're doing a remarkable job with what you...
That lady is doing a remarkable job.
Thank you.
Teamwork. We work together.
Okay, any other questions, gentlemen?
If you have follow-ups, just give me a shout.
I will. Okay, I sure will. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. We've been working hard on this.
All right.
Can I just ask, how would we get the name of this landowner that we should go approach? Could the committee provide it?
Tax records. He's got it.
I'll get
You
you.
got it right here.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Comprehensive plan revision, final review. Good?
Yes, sir. Well, at the last meeting, we discussed the VDOT recommendations and what they said that our comp plan would need for to be compliant with the transportation section of the state code. We discussed it and we compromised that I would put a little bit of synopsis of the statewide V-Trans transportation planning and describe it. Also mention the Smart Scale program, which is the way the projects get into the V-Trans plan. I made those changes, and Mr. Cost looked them over, and he thought they're okay. There were some small typographical and formatting things that we changed. But basically, like I said, I fixed Route 202, which is further down in the comp plan. I added V-Trans and the Smart Scale program. I also added the current VDOT 6-year secondary improvement program with a chart that shows Gilliam's Road, they're replacing a bridge over that, Forest Green Road, we're waiting on drainage easements to get a dollar amount for that. And those are the two main projects there. So I added those. Mr. Cost volunteered to add a placeholder about the traffic congestion at Academic Lane when school lets out and when school beginning of the school day. And he added that section as well, and made a recommendation that the county needs to work with VDOT to install a traffic light at the intersection of Route 360 and Academic Lane, which would be operational for 1 hour each day prior to the beginning of the school day and at the end of the school day to address those issues that Mr. Garland brought up at the last meeting. And those are the changes that were made. The other thing that I did change was she mentioned railroads and airports, and I've toyed with that back and forth. We don't have them, but then again, you can get to them. So I put in a little section. Now y'all can veto me on this if you want to, but I put in railroads. There are no rail lines in the county, nor the entire Northern Neck Peninsula. However, Amtrak terminals are located in Fredericksburg, Ashland, Richmond, Williamsburg, and Newport News. And then for airports, I said there are no public airports in the county. However, there are numerous private airstrips. Didn't get into those details, but said 2 small regional airports close to Northumberland County are Hummelfield and Topping, and Tappahannock, Essex County Airport west of Tappahannock. And then added major airlines serve Richmond and Newport News, Williamsburg International Airports. Nice. Just to placate them.
Perfect.
And then I changed the bicycle map As I mentioned at the last meeting, we had these extra trails south of, on the south part of the county that were not part of the Potomac Natural Scenic Trail. They were part of the previous comp plans, homegrown bicycle trails, but since there's no bike lanes, no signage, the best thought was to stay with the Potomac Natural Heritage Scenic Trail. And so I created a map and deleted the old map and created this new map that shows just the Potomac Scenic National Trail. Those are the changes. So I have a resolution as well that we can send to the board. But the first step is to go ahead and accept all the changes.
I move adoption of all the changes proposed for Chapter 4.
Second.
Questions? All in favor? Aye. Okay, and now we have a resolution. Stuart?
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me
Okay.
get second and first.
One other quick motion here, the authority for Stuart and I to redo the pagination of the table of contents, because the pages are going to change in the table as a result of these amendments.
So moved.
Second.
Question? All in favor?
Who seconded that?
Alan.
Alan, okay. Okay, and the resolution, I worked with the county administrator on the language of this. It mirrors the last couple of ones. But basically, the adoption of the 2026 Comprehensive Plan by Northumberland County Planning Commission, whereas the Code of Virginia Title 15.2, Chapter 22, Section 15.2-2223 requires Northumberland County to prepare and recommend a comprehensive plan for the physical development of its territory, and Section 5.22230 mandates that at least once every 5 years, a comprehensive plan be reviewed by a local Planning Commission, and whereas the Northumberland County Planning Commission has reviewed the original comprehensive plan and determined it advisable to amend the plan, and that whereas amendments and revisions have been proposed for incorporation in the 2026 Northumberland County Comprehensive Plan, and whereas the Northumberland County Planning Commission held a public hearing on August 28, 2025, and whereas the Northumberland Planning Commission adopted the final 2026 Comprehensive Plan on February 19, 2026, now, therefore, be resolved that Northumberland County Planning Commission does hereby recommend to the Northumberland County Board of Supervisors adoption of the 2026 Comprehensive Plan as amended.
I think that there might be one error there on the second whereas, where it says has reviewed the original comprehensive plan. I think we reviewed the most recent, so it would be the previous comprehensive plan.
I could put 2016, that was the last date, if you'd like me to change original to 2016.
I think that makes sense, yes.
I could do that.
With that amendment, I move the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right.
Stu, do you need this signed?
Yes, sir. If you could sign it tonight, and then I will sign it and scan it, and I will send that to the Board of Supervisors.
You want to do it before you do the changes? Stop by the office and sign it or something?
Yeah, if you want to come by Monday.
I'll do that then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we can get that, and then I'll scan it and send it to Luttrell, and they can, I'll need to advertise, I gotta go back to the office and advertise in the newspaper tonight to meet the deadline
Okay.
for
All
the
right.
board meeting.
Okay. All right.
Which board meeting?
The next month.
Mr. Brand, is it likely this is going to be brought up at the next board meeting? The March?
I would say so if you haven't read it.
Because you and I talked earlier about a special meeting. So,
Mr. Tab, I told him I was advertising for it, and he said, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, we did talk earlier. I think this is going to probably require a special meeting to go through it properly. Regular board meeting, might not have enough time. But we'll get it straight, but it will be brought up.
I was going to submit the ad, like I said, tonight, and Yeah, now y'all throwing a wrench. I talked with Luttrell and said I was going to advertise this for the next meeting, so I'm not sure what I should do.
Well, my suggestion would be, Mr. Brand, discuss with your board members or make a unilateral decision yourself in terms of when that would be and let Stuart know.
I will appreciate it in the morning and we will let's do it.
Excellent.
You need to know before.
The ad is due by 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, and that's why I was going to do it tonight. But I can, my day off is tomorrow, but I can come in tomorrow morning if that's,
A day off.
yeah, we work 9-hour days. And then we get every other Friday off.
No, you work at least half a day on Saturday.
9 hours is a long day.
I'll let you know.
But I can come in and I'll touch base. I don't believe Luttrell's going to be in tomorrow either.
Well, but I don't think he's talking about even having it that same week, so that gives everybody a few days in terms of when you got to post the ad. So if he doesn't do it
Right.
in the middle of March, you're fine.
I mean, if y'all direct me not to advertise, I'll be glad to do that. I previously told Mr. Tadlock I was.
Take your day off.
Okay. Okay, so I will not advertise the comprehensive plan until I hear from
Okay,
Mr. Tadlock.
all right.
But I will advertise the cell tower. I have to go in and do that
Yes.
tonight. So that will be on the board
Okay.
agenda.
All right. Any questions?
On here.
Okay, let me let Stuart finish writing first.
I've got it.
Board of Supervisors report.
Yes, sir. The board voted on the sun shelters at the last meeting and chose not to revise the pier and boathouse ordinance to allow sun shelters. Mr. Fisher brought up, asked Mr. Marston if the square footage is 400 square feet, and he said if a citizen had a 8-foot wide, a 5-foot wide pier that was 80 foot long, could he put a shelter over that? And Mr. Marston replied, yes, it's 400 square feet. And so that was one of the things that was problematic. So they basically, that can be brought up again in a year. That's the way state code works with regards to ordinance changes. The second public hearing was Hayden and Gravel Pit in Lotsburg on 360 there, and they approved that conditional use permit for that light industry gravel operation, gravel and mulch sales operation there. They also replaced the old dog ordinance with the new ordinance, which is exactly as the model ordinance is, according to Mr. Gregory, and he emphasized that citizens need to gather information about dangerous dogs, and it doesn't have to be a bite or an attack. It's just barking and vicious behavior could be used as evidence, but they need to report all that stuff to the sheriff's office because the ordinance won't work unless there's evidence to prosecute or take care of the dangerous dog situation. And I think that's it.
The board met also this afternoon, gave the budget from the school board, and the good news there, at least tentatively, is that they've actually had some unaccounted for revenue that they put into the capital reserve fund. So things like the well and the buses, they're now preparing the schedule, as we have been doing on the CIP planning committee, for future expenditures, investments in capital planning, capital budget stuff. So they are definitely making things a lot easier for us and for the board of supervisors going forward. So that was all very good news.
Enough money to complete?
No, let's not get carried away. It's a very big start.
Okay. All right. That it for the Board of Supervisors report?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any comments from the public? All right. Anybody online have a comment? All right, no comment?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Everybody in favor? All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.